It will reduce millions of tons of greenhouse gases because it will be the lowest emitting facility in the world, and it will displace megawatts generated by coal in Asia. Now, this is the solution to reducing greenhouse gases. The biggest reduction in North America in greenhouse gases happened not because of a carbon tax in Canada, but because of the massive conversion of electrical facilities in the United States from coal to natural gas due to the fracking revolution. In the United States, the U.S. shifted from coal to gas. U.S. electricity produced 2,544 million metric tons in 2005. That reduced down to 1,724 metric tons of greenhouse gases. That's a 32% reduction in the amount of GHGs coming from the American electrical grid as a direct result of shifting from coal to natural gas. National Bank points out that if we were able to sell our natural gas to India, and we were able to replace their plan to double coal-fired electricity and instead use natural gas, it would reduce emissions so much that it would be the equivalent savings of 4 years of the total emissions of the entire Canadian economy. So get this straight. Of all the emissions we produce in 1 year, we could do 4 times those reductions by simply helping India expand its electrical generation using gas instead of coal. We have the 5th biggest supply of gas anywhere on Earth. We have the shortest shipping distance to both Asia and Europe. And we have the clean hydroelectricity in BC, Newfoundland, and Quebec with which to liquefy and compress that gas. We have the Germans who asked us to send them our natural gas. So did the Japanese. Trudeau told them there was no business case. Well, nobody told the Americans there was no business case. They've built 7 liquefaction facilities in the last 8 years. Nobody told the Qataris. They've doubled their production and just signed a 3.5 million metric ton deal with the French. Nobody told the Germans. They just built an import terminal from concept to completion in 194 days, during which time we have not completed a single solitary export plant. My common sense plan will repeal C-69 and grant rapid permits to environmentally friendly and strategically important projects like LNG facilities. We will cool that gas to minus 161 degrees Celsius, ship it off to Asia to shut down dirty Asian coal-fired plants, and send it off to Europe to turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country. Bring it home. And we will speed up mining. We will speed up mining. Right now, it takes 18 years to get a mine approved in Canada, 40% longer in Canada than in the United States of America, 2 years longer than the average of major mining countries. That's why we do not produce any of the lithium that goes in the electric car batteries that you see in Teslas and other cars driving around our streets. We have the 5th biggest supply of lithium on Earth, and we only have 1 operational mine, which, by the way, Trudeau sold to China, so that they can take our mineral and upgrade it and send it back to us after they've burnt a lot of coal to do it. Somehow this is supposed to be good for our environment. We should be the fastest place to grant responsible mining permits so that we can harvest these resources here in this country. And that's what we will do in order to allow for electrification. It is by green-lighting green projects like that. We should also speed up the approval of nuclear power. Clean, green, emissions-free, small modular nuclear reactors and can-do production will allow us to have solid, emissions-free baseload production. It is through this energy abundance that we can bring down costs and emissions at the same time. But it will only happen if we repeal the insane anti-development laws that we have right now. Thank you. But let me be very clear with you. It will not be a free ride for the resource corporations who have proposed these projects and then sat back and done nothing to convince people of their benefits. They are going to have to stand up and fight. Because frankly, when I meet with resource companies in Ottawa, they come to Ottawa, and all they do is suck up to the Liberal government. They have no backbone and no courage, and they don't fight for their workers. I want to see corporate leaders actually fighting for their workers and fighting for the paychecks instead of sucking up to the very people who are blocking these jobs and destroying our working class. You know, I'll give you an example of this. There's another tax hike coming. All the taxes that are going up on April 1st, it's enough to drive a man to drink. But they're taxing that too. There's a beer tax going up on April 1st. So the Association of Beer Producers is running an ad, and they say in the ad that Ottawa is raising beer taxes. And so I asked one of the CEOs, I said, who is Ottawa? I've never met him. What does he look like? Handsome guy, tall, fluffy hair, baby blue eyes? Like, who is Ottawa? Why is the ad saying Ottawa is raising beer taxes? Ottawa's not raising beer taxes. Justin Trudeau and the NDP are raising beer taxes. I know a lot of corporate leaders don't want to say things like that because they want to get along with everybody. But sucking up to the people who are doing the damage has only got us into this mess in the first place. So it's time for the business leadership to speak the truth and stop sucking up to the people who are doing the damage to our country. Because I can tell you the workers on the ground and the customers who are paying the bills, they're ready for their leaders to champion them at all levels, and that is what we will expect. And we will expect the same in housing. My second major priority is to build the homes. After 8 years of Trudeau, housing costs have doubled. Rent has doubled, mortgage payments have doubled, down payments have all doubled. It has been double trouble. Let's look at how insane it is in Canada today. Right now, housing costs are 25 to 45% more expensive than south of the border, even though the Americans have 8 times the population and a smaller landmass to live on. So they have less natural supply and 8 times the natural demand, and yet their prices are far more affordable. You can buy a home for less than half the price on the American side of Niagara Falls than on the Canadian side, even though they are only 15 minutes apart. Vancouver is now the 3rd most expensive housing market in the world, comparing median income to median housing prices. UBS found in 2022 Toronto was the worst housing bubble on planet Earth. Both of them more expensive than New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, London, England, and even Singapore. An island with 2,000 times more people per square kilometer than Canadians. We have the most mortgage debt by far of any G7 country as a share of our GDP. What is most astounding about this is that we actually spend far more on residential investment than any other country in the OECD. Residential investment in Canada is 9% of our economy. The OECD average is 4%. In other words, as a relative share of our economy, we are spending twice as much as the rest of our competitor countries to build fewer homes. We have the fewest homes per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have by far the most land and we spend by far the most money building homes. How is this possible? How is this possible? We have more land, labor, and lumber than anyone, and yet we can't build homes. Well, the answer is government is standing in the way. What is the #1 cost to building a new home in Vancouver today? Land, labor, lumber, permits. Government represents 60% of the cost of a newly built home in Vancouver today. 60%. So the 40% is what you use to pay for the worker, for all the lumber, and the drywall, and the land. This is insane. Now, we've had wonderful collaboration between all levels of government on housing. I want to say it's been very beautiful to see how well they've collaborated. There have been beautiful press conferences. They've patted each other on the backs. They've congratulated each other for the amazing job they're doing. And guess what? They're spending more money on housing than ever before. This, we're told, is an achievement. We should not worry about the cost to the person buying the home. We should celebrate that it's even more costly to pay for the programs that created the mess in the first place, we're told. Well,